Before change, there must be analysis. Organizational change is a costly and difficult business, and there must be a real business need reason in order to change current practice. Typically, changes are attempts to reach new markets, to improve productivity, or to cope with drastically reduced funding. A good analyst will identify the key problem. Next comes what's probably the most problematic stage: implementation. Above all else, making the plan change a reality requires communication. Staff will need to be informed of new procedures and, where necessary, trained in new skills. The most important member of the change management team at this stage is the gatekeeper. Finally, there's the consolidation stage. There needs to be a way to collect feedback from employees on how the change is being received. Because there will still be some resistance to the change, even at this stage, someone needs to act as a champion for the innovation. The company might bring in a consultant to help them find the right solution. Either way, management should also consult with staff at this stage. There should be meetings to help raise awareness for the need for change and to give employees a chance to suggest their own solutions. Negative reflection occurs when light is reflected toward the same side of the normal to the boundary from which it is incident. This exotic optical phenomenon is not only yet to be visualized in real space but also remains unexplored, both at the nanoscale and in natural media. In Russia, scientists are contending with boycotts and sanctions in response to their country's actions. More widely, the crisis has created economic and political rifts that have already affected research in physics, space, climate science, food security and energy. Russia is on the periphery of most international science networks, which has made it easier for Western countries to cut off collaborations. But it does have an important role in some global research. Work done at large-scale physics infrastructures, especially in Europe, could be affected for years. among the highest-profile areas of collaboration between scientists in Russia and elsewhere is Arctic research, particularly when it comes to climate change. The Arctic is warming at least 3 times as fast as the global average, and Russia makes up roughly half of the circumpolar Arctic. Europe is struggling with its heavy reliance on Russia's fossil fuels, which puts it in the awkward position of subsidizing Russia's invasion with billions of dollars in monthly fuel purchases. The European Union has banned imports of coal and other solid fossil fuels from Russia. In these countries, the government controls energy prices and highly regulates energy and electricity markets, which makes them much less sensitive to declining costs of renewable energy. The entire coal value chain, including mining, transport, electricity generation and finance, coal can be a huge chunk of the economy in some of these regions. In India, up to 15 million jobs are directly or indirectly connected to coal. Energy from coal often powers energy-intensive industries such as iron, steel and cement production, all of which demand many workers. Policies in these countries should focus on reforms that check vested interests and corruption, reduce state control over the energy sector and level the playing field for alternative energy systems. These countries also need to develop alternative economies. The numbers on US student debt, after all, are truly staggering. The average 2015 US university graduate who took out loans to help pay for tuition enters the workforce with $35,000 in student debt. In the US, total student debt exceeds $1.15 trillion, dwarfing, for instance, the nation's credit card debt. The affordability, security and reliability of electricity rank very high on the political agenda. State-controlled energy prices can force power companies into debt, leaving them no economic room to finance a shift to coal alternatives. Economies already phasing out coal can use international agreements to strengthen their commitments, and should support other regions with technologies, finance and capacity building. Phase-in countries need financial support for renewables, grid capacity and storage facilities. Genetics, along with paleontology, has gone on to provide extraordinarily precise tools for understanding human origins. Genetics has also revealed that there is more genetic variation between people in the same racial category than there is between people from different races, illustrating that there is no biological basis for what we call race. Some wanted to know, for example, how to determine when to harvest and how to control increasing pests and diseases wrought by a shifting climate. Others wanted to know how to predict the shifting seasons, what they could do to shade their plants and protect the soil. The brain is divided into two hemispheres, called the left and the right hemispheres. Each hemisphere provides a different set of functions, behaviors, and controls. The right hemisphere is often called the creative side of the brain, while the left hemisphere is the logical or analytic side of the brain. The right hemisphere controls the left side of the body, and the left hemisphere controls the right side. Calls for more engaged scholarship to help tackle urgent and relevant problems and concerns are not new. Neither is the co-creation of knowledge and solutions to link the academic world with the public. Yet engaged scholarship isn't the priority it needs to be if scientists are to support people in dire crises. Researchers, especially those early in their careers, need to know how to marshal sources of evidence, such as these publication counts, to make their case to hiring and promotion committees. These tools are treated as trusted sources, despite the fact that they can give very different values. This is a serious and deeply ironic problem across the scientific enterprise. As researchers, we are used to using partial, imperfect, incomplete data to make decisions and draw conclusions. Those imperfections are smoothed out through statistical processes, error calculations, and good research practice. It is unfair but inescapable that much of the work will fall on the shoulders of early and mid-career researchers, for whom evaluations are most crucial. They have a choice of whether to provide more rigorous and complete evidence in their applications or just the usual numbers. The semiconductor industry has been able to improve the performance of electronic systems for more than 4 decades by making ever smaller devices. However, this approach will soon encounter both scientific and technical limits, which is why the industry is exploring a number of alternative device technologies. Scientist parents who are required to do field work or to carry out research in remote regions must ask for the support they need. This requires a culture change in academia among peers to increase awareness of how common parenthood is. The deep ocean remains one of the most mysterious places on Earth. Only around 20% of the ocean floor has been mapped to modern standards. That includes Challenger Deep in the Mariana Trench, which at around 11,000 meters below sea level is the deepest known point on the planet. Imagine living all your life as the only family on your street. Then, one morning, you open the front door and discover houses all around you. You see neighbors tending their gardens and children walking to school. Where did all the people come from? What if the answer turned out to be that they had always been there, you just hadn't seen them? When people get a chance to descend to Challenger Deep, they go to the Eastern Pool, where the records are set in terms of the absolute deepest points in the ocean. But there are two other depressions, the Central and Western Pools. There is also a vast array of networks that connect these devices, including computer, telephone and cable networks. Computer communication across the internet, such as email and instant messaging, is just one of many examples of telecommunication. The deepest ocean is a place that is extremely dangerous. The pressure down there is 16,000 pounds per inch too. It's near freezing and completely dark. If anything goes wrong with the submersible, the implosion will kill us in a nanosecond. The training of an actor is an intensive process which requires curiosity, courage and commitment. You will learn how to prepare for rehearsal, how to rehearse and how to use independent and proactive processes that inform you to do the best work possible for both stage and screen.